This is Standard 4 Objective 3 for Clothing 2. So the first question a lot of people ask is, why do we use interfacing? There are a few reasons that interfacing is used in sewing. The first being to add strength and stability to the fabric. We also use interfacing to help the fabric maintain its shape or add extra body to places like collars or buttonholes. There are two different types of interfacing, fusible and sew-in. Fusible interfacing is applied with heat. More specifically, it is used with the use of an iron. This type of interfacing works well for fabrics that are medium to heavy weight. Sew-in interfacing is used when the fabric cannot withstand the heat or the fabric is so loosely woven that the glue is going to seep through to the right side of the fabric. After choosing whether you're going to use fusible or sew-in interfacing, the next decision you have to make is whether you will choose woven or non-woven interfacing. There is also specific interfacing for knit fabrics, which is used to keep the knit fabrics from stretching. So as we can see, knit fabrics do have a lot of stretch to them. So the interfacing looks a little bit different. It's more of a checkered board pattern that goes on knits, and it just helps so that they don't stretch as much. As you can see, there's not a lot of stretch in this interfacing. So the woven interfacing should be cut on the same grain as the fabric that is being used for. This makes using woven interfacing slightly more difficult. The other type, non-woven interfacing, is easier and more widely used, and it is suitable for most interfacing needs. So the other thing that you need to consider is there are also different weights of interfacings. There's a lightweight interfacing, a mid-weight interfacing, and a heavy interfacing. When choosing interfacing to go on your fabric, you should choose an interfacing that is the same weight as your fabric or a little bit lighter. And so right now I'm going to show you how to apply fusible interfacing to a medium weight fabric. So I have chosen a medium weight fabric and a lightweight interfacing to go on the top. So to apply interfacing, there are 3 simple steps. But before you get started, you're going to need a pressing cloth, an ironing board, an iron, your fabric, and your interfacing. So one of the additional steps that you can take when applying interfacing is to cut your interfacing slightly smaller than your fabric that you are trying to apply it to. This helps reduce bulk in your seam allowances, and it just helps reduce any extra that you're going to need. So for this example, we're going to be using a 5/8 inch seam allowance, so we'll trim our interfacing to be 1/2 inch smaller than our fabric. So as you can see, I've already done that, and this is what's going to happen is if we cut it at 1/2 inch, we'll still be catching 1/8 of an inch in our seam lane, so it'll still allow the interfacing to be sewn into the fabric. So now to apply the interfacing, the first thing you're going to want to do is put down a pressing cloth so that no glue is transferred to your ironing board. So step 1, you're going to take your fabric and you're going to place it face down on your ironing board. Step 2, you are going to take your interfacing and you're going to center it on your fabric. But you want to make sure that you're putting the glue side down. And how you tell the glue side is it has a bumpy texture, or sometimes it has a shiny kind of surface to it. So go ahead and put the glue side down on the wrong side of your fabric, and you're going to center that and make sure it all looks good. Step 3 is you are going to take another pressing cloth and put it over the top of your fabric. This helps prevent any glue being transferred from the interfacing to your iron, which is really hard to clean off your iron. So after that, your heat setting is dependent on the type of fabric you're using. So it's a medium cotton blend, so it's a higher setting on my iron. You're going to take your iron and you are going to put it face down on your fabric, and you're going to hold it for 10 seconds for medium or to heavy weight fabric, 10 seconds for light fabrics. Now when applying interfacing, it's very important that you do not slide your iron around as you are doing this. If you cannot fit your iron on your whole piece of fabric, to get all of it, you're going to do one spot and you're going to physically pick your iron up, move it over, and place it on your next spot. The reason that we do this is so that we don't get any shifting in the fabric or the interfacing, and that is going to prevent us from getting creases or bubbles or places that aren't completely fused down. So after that, I like to pull off my pressing cloth and I will look at my fabric and make sure that all my edges are fused down, that not one place needs more time. And then after that, that is how you apply fusible interfacing.